That particular one is the best. Hello, hello. Welcome, football amigos. This is Mide as always. Glad you all are here. We're very excited to bring to you another session today. Of course, I have my three amigos on the left and on the right. Aya, will start with you. How you doing?
Fantastic. Happy to be back again. Yeah.
As always, it's always good to have you back. And of course, Sam, the other amigos to my left. How are you doing today? Or to my right? It's kind of interesting
Doing
with the video content.
fantastic.
I
So
know,
where am
right?
I located? Mide,
You
you are in the middle.
yes, yeah, I
You
indeed
always like,
smash me to the middle,
can
right?
we see if we can reach? Who's gonna touch? Who can touch me?
Let's see.
Okay.
Oh
Now
wow.
we'll see.
Yeah, we're
Okay, this
good
is
that
this is
way.
messing with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
Well, football amigos, this is what we
welcome.
do, right? We haven't seen each other for a while, so we're just trying to connect. But we are happy to be back with you all. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all have been excited to watch some of the games from not just from a Euro 2024 perspective, but Copa America is also on as well too. There's been some amazing games that I've been watching as well, and it's just exciting. It's good to have you all back. Like we always say, please like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. Today, our focus is England's recovery. One of the core reasons why we have Football Amigos, ladies and gentlemen, is not just talk about the game, help you all understand how the game is, but also to bring our perspective, our experiences, both coaching and statistics, and what we see to bring solutions. Because at the end of the day, amigos, one thing I would love to you to know, it's very important for you all to be part of the solution, not part of the problem in any works of life. So the segment today, we're really excited about it. We'll be talking about England. We know how good England is. We know how good they can be, but there's just always something since 1966 when they won their only trophy from a World Cup standpoint. They have not won anything. It's been back to back disappointments, not just in the quarterfinals, but in semifinals. And the last 4 years, they got to the Euro final and they lost to Italy, and they got to the semifinals of the World Cup and lost as well. So there's something about that team that we would like to bring focus on, not just to be part of the media that bashes them every time or some of the fans that we've heard about, but to actually analyze what the symptoms are, what the problem really is with that team, and of course, to provide solutions that hopefully someone hears and they acknowledge it and maybe implement it, and we can all hopefully sing "It's Coming Home." We'll start with you, Ayor. Would you ever think it's gonna come home?
It's possible. Anything is possible, but I don't think the odds are in England's favor. I don't think. I think it's kind of funny going into each tournament and seeing
Mm-hmm.
the level of optimism the fans have, and
Mm-hmm.
I've just never felt that way because I've never seen this team as special. Like I see a lot of athleticism. I see a lot of like direct, like cutting edge football. I see a lot of talent, but I've never seen cohesion. I don't think I've watched a game where I feel like this is a cohesive game, and I haven't seen that technical ability in the middle to run a game, and which is almost always the the minimum requirement. You need that either at the base of the midfield. Think of a Rodri. Think of a Perlo from the back, or you get it from the front. Think of the Iniestas. Think of Gundogan for Germany, and surprisingly
Mm-hmm.
Germany.
Pedri for Spain right
Mm-hmm.
now. And
Right.
England, we've never had that, and I feel like it makes the job a lot harder. Yeah. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. I mean, it's interesting how England has performed this 2024 Euros. They played their first game against Serbia. They won 1-0. Jude Bellingham scored an amazing header, but the way they performed on and off the ball wasn't what we know from England today. And they went into their second game, which they drew with Denmark 1-1. But again, Denmark had chances. England didn't create much. And I will focus on you, Sam. Based on the two games you've seen, we'll start with you from a symptom standpoint, right? Symptoms are some of the things we're noticing with an underlying problem. So from those two games that you've seen and just knowing England from the past, what do you think is going on? Why are they not performing?
Not only going into the space to talk about England, honestly, sometimes I need to take a break and get a bite. The last episode, somebody messaged me privately after they saw the episode, and they were like, "You really like food for you to be eating in the episode." They didn't tell me about your pizza, but that's a side conversation. Today, I have some bananas. I'm gonna keep that when I go on mute. So amigos, let me know what your favorite fruit is. But really, to talk about England, I like what you said, Mide, and I like what Ayo said. But the problems, I took some time to literally look at the games again. I looked at um I looked at all the resources they have. You know, you have the best player in La Liga last season, Jude Bellingham, one of
Mm,
my most respected player right now. And arguably the best player in Premier League this season, Foden. You
mm.
know, I know I see Aya's face. Maybe you disagree. It's okay. I don't know if you want to put Saka in there as well. Yes, those two guys, they killed the league. From a performance point of view, I'm impressed with those two guys. And guess what? You have Harry Kane. Guess what he did in Germany? They scored a lot of goals. So they
Definitely
have
more than 20.
individual, yeah, they have the individual players. So what exactly is going on? I'll tell you what I think. Number one is the formation. The formation could be better. Number two, they have a lot of wrong players or right players playing the wrong position right now. And I can go into details into that. And poor substitution. When things are not going well, their substitution just like drives me nuts, especially the last game. If you look at what Germany and Switzerland, the game that he played, ended up being 1-1. When you go look at that game, the substitution changed the game. About I think it was about 70 or 80. They made some incredible
Mm-hmm,
substitution and the game changed.
mm-hmm.
But England, this is not just Euro 24. Before now, Southgate's substitution drives me nuts. I don't see why sometimes you don't start players like Aze early, like the last game that he tied. Oh my god, you should now play Foden where he was playing by the beginning of a second half. There is no way you want to keep Foden in that position. Put Eze in this game as soon as possible, and let's see the game change. Bring Walker in pretty early. Oh, Walker, excuse me. Bring him in early. But if you want me to keep talking, I will keep talking. But we really want to look at the solutions.
No, I know. I really appreciate that, Sam. And this is the reason why we have this, amigos. Please like, share, and subscribe. We would love to know what symptoms, based on the things you've seen about this team, that is holding them back. Sam, you mentioned a couple of things that really stood out to me, and there's so many symptoms to what's going on with England right now. It's some of those symptoms that we're seeing is exactly what you said: the substitutions, the personnel selections, even before the tournaments, the personnel selections during the tournaments, during games, the coaching philosophy, what they do on and off the ball, um, just sheer performance. It's the formation. It's just not working. It looks to me that he's just telling them to just go play Moments FC situation because they have a lot of stars in that team, and they do. They really do. These are symptoms to the underlying problem, which will move us to the next part. The problem, to me, it's twofold. One, it's the coaching and the environment of that coaching. Number two is the media. From a coaching standpoint, Gareth Southgate has had some success, but I think part of that success is just players performing because they know what they're doing. That's just my personal opinion. I know he's a nice guy. I've heard very good things from the media. He's a very nice person. But focusing on his coaching abilities, it needs to improve. That's what I see. Perfect example: the personnel he selected before the tournament, he had four defenders, all right-footed. No one could play left back, and then he picks an injured left back in Luke Shaw into a tournament. That's a coaching issue. When they're actually playing, when they're on the ball, fine. He plays a formation of a 1-4-2-3-1, right? He has Pickford as the goalkeeper. He has Guehi and Stones, wonderful defenders as center backs. He has Walker and Trippier left back and right back. Then he creates this experiment, as he calls it, to play Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is a right back for Liverpool in midfield. And then he plays Declan Rice, fine. Then he plays Foden as a left winger. And this was the same player that got player of the season for Manchester City, playing as an attacking midfielder. That's his position. And then you play Saka on the right, which is fine. He performed very well for Arsenal on the right. Then you have Harry Kane off top, which, by the way, Harry Kane is not 100% fit. These are things that I'm noticing that brings us to the first problem. It's the coaching. His coaching staff and him just don't know what they're doing with this team. They don't. And it baffles me because this team has so much talent, have so much quality. But the reason why they're not doing well is not because they can't play. It's because of the coaching that's around them that's just not efficient. That's all I can say. Number two that we mentioned is really the media, and that doesn't help. Ayo, I would love to hear your perspective about the media part and just your perspective on if the media is really part of the problem or they're a symptom of the underlying problem and just not the problem.
You know what? I think about it more, and I think it's actually funny. I think it's a battle between the media and the fans, even. I think they're in a deep, deep disagreement because I feel like a lot of the fan base have lost a lot of trust in Southgate. And I feel like the only people really promoting him or really defending him are actually the media. And in terms of like saying that he delivered this X and Y, this is how he is behind the scenes. We haven't seen it, and bringing out all these like candidates and saying that the players trust him, etc. Because we saw it very, very strongly when Ben White said he just wasn't doing this anymore. And before the fans could like really like dig into like why exactly does he not respect the coaching staff, because it wasn't him and Southgate, was the coaching staff. The entire media came to bat for Southgate. They were kept talking about Ben White being disgraceful, X and Y, and like he should never wear a jersey again. And they're like, Southgate is X and Y, he should be respected. Like X and Y, like even the way because I think Southgate threw him under the bus. Even during his announcement that they said Ben White pulled the bike, Ben White didn't want it to become a big thing. He just didn't want to be part of it. And in a conference, Southgate threw him under the bus, and even the media defended Southgate. And so I think it's reaching a point where initially he had success. He is English. He played. He's really connected to Man United, right? Southgate, where was he? Middlesbrough, sorry. Yeah.
we have our problems that we have to deal with.
But it just looks like there's a fraternity of supporters, like between like the back end of like the pundits, and that he just gets the benefit of the doubt when sometimes he doesn't deserve. And so we've reached that point where the fans are worried. The fans are worried, and the media can't defend him much longer. And now the criticism. But this has been coming even before going into the tournament. The doubts have been there. The first game, the doubts were kind of there, but we won. This game, it's like, what are you doing? And the media can no longer defend him, because like I feel like the media is quicker to turn on players than they are to turn on managers. And this one is like, you have players that, as Sam stated, are world-class players. So the media can't because if you want to scapegoat Harry Kane, that's still Harry Kane. That's like 35, almost 40 goals in the Bundesliga. You want to scapegoat, what's it called? Foden, PFA. Like you want to scapegoat Saka, we know what he does. Like, so it's hard to really go at the players and be like, maybe Southgate is not really the guy. Maybe he flattered to deceive. But right now, it's still balanced. It's not a knife edge, but I can see it turn the vitriol turn. But I don't feel like they've turned on the players. I think they've turned on the staff. Eventually, they might turn on the players. I don't know how they're going to perform the next game, or if at this point, 4 points. I do think they're going to get into the knockout stages, no matter what happens in the Slovenia game. They might turn on the players if they get knocked out, but right now, I think there really isn't that confidence in him, and it hasn't got out of control like I've seen in other tournaments, but there is no confidence. But I don't.
Good insight.
I don't think the media are particularly really cutthroat right now. I actually think they're defending him a lot more than otherwise. Than they should.
Good insights, Ayo, from the media standpoint. As always, Football Amigos, please like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you think these major symptoms are. So before we move over to the solutions, which I'm very excited about, because at the end of the day, we are here not to just point fingers at the problem, but actually suggest solutions. But before we move over to solutions, Sam, I'll come back to you. You mentioned some very strong symptoms about some of the things we're noticing, not just in this tournament specifically, but in the past. What would you consider as a different problem than what we've mentioned? So we've mentioned coaching and the environment, right? We've mentioned media and its impact. Have you noticed any other problems that you would like to mention that could add to the conversation here?
No, everything is around coaching, and it's just now change the coach only. It's about these several things that I mentioned earlier. Put the right player in there. I think England is solid, and there is still hope for England as we speak right now. If they listen to us, if they listen to Coach Mide and what's best analyst Ayo.
No, and that's a wonderful segue to the next section, which is the solutions, right? And Sam, I think you've hit the nail on the head. From a coaching standpoint, how would I, as a coach, solve the coaching issue, right? We've mentioned how talented these boys are. We've mentioned how skillful and intelligent they play. At this point, you are Ayo. I am Ayo and Sam. I am not surprised you didn't have any other problems than identifying coaching and media. And it's because of how good this team is. If there were other problems, then you would have stated another 5 problems, right? But the fact that we only could agree on 2, that means it's still salvageable. Their campaign is still salvageable if the coach and the coaching staff can make these changes. These boys are good. They've shown that in the past. They just need to be coached in an environment where they're not shackled, they're not held back, but they're actually released to play in their right positions. Now, some of the strategic solutions, amigos, that we talked about is identifying the solution based on short term, which is where they are today. Why in this tournament, we have to find solutions where they are. And then long term, what will be the best thing for this team to move forward? Because again, there's another World Cup coming up in the US in US, Mexico, and Mexico and Canada in 2026. This team has from now to then to get their act together and actually be a team to reckon with. So from a short-term perspective, here's what I would do. Aya, you mentioned formation. You're absolutely right. The formation, based on what he has selected short-term, I would have to stick to the 1-4-2-3-1. We would have to, because he's already selected the players based on that. Now, we can have a different conversation about how wrong those selections are, because personally, as much as some of the players have performed, I would still have taken Rashford. Not because he's a Man United player, but his ability and his performance in an England shirt. I would have taken Grealish just because of being a game-changing player. He has the ability to do that. I would have taken him. There's some other players on that team that I would not have taken, even though they did well. But for the sake of that team, I would not have taken. Now, I will still keep that formation, like you mentioned, Ayo. You mentioned 4-3-3. I agree with you. But again, to me, that's more long term. But then again, leads me to another long term solution of completely changing the coaching staff. But from a short term solution, I would keep the same formation. I would play Harry Kane, even though he needs to step up, not just as a captain, but as a player. I would play Eze on the left, move Foden to an attacking position where Jude Bellingham plays, move Jude to pair as a midfielder with Rice. There's a solid base there of not just a defensive mindset player in Rice, but also sometimes attacking, actually, as you can see from an Arsenal standpoint. I can attest to that. But from a Jude Bellingham perspective, where he has that box to box role of floating around the team and coming back. Then you have Foden that just knits everything together up top and score goals. On the right, I'll still keep Saka just because he's very efficient and one of the most consistent players on that team. I would remove Alexander Arnold, not because he's not good enough, but for this system to work, he has to play in his right position as a right back. Which was Ayo, which is Sam. You mentioned that playing the right players in the right positions. I absolutely agree with you. Then keeping the defensive line the way it is, bringing Trent maybe on the left, on the right in the second half, and then Ayo. Before you came in, Sam and I were talking about some of the solutions, and Sam mentioned something about playing Eze on the left side to start the game because Eze has the ability to not just create chances but also drift in to score goals with his right foot, which is something he did from a Crystal Palace standpoint. But bring Gordon in the second half because he has the ability to not just attack and cross as an actual winger, but also has the recovery speed to come back and defend. He's one of the most industrial players on that team, same as Conor Gallagher in midfield. They have an engine. These are by the way, amigos. They're different player traits, basically their qualities of what they bring to the team. Each player has a different core trait. From an England perspective, Craig Gordon has the ability to keep running. He doesn't get tired. He just keeps going. So you can use that in the second half to not just help with the attack because he keeps running, but also help defend as well. So again, from a short term, those will be the personnel that I will keep. Now, long term, and this is where I would love to hear from you, Sam and Ayo, from a long term solution standpoint. After this tournament, I would make that change. I would make that change to the head coach. I'll make that change to the coaching staff and try to bring someone in, work with the FA, and actually identify the right system and style of play that England wants to play for the next 10, 15 years, right? Once you bring in that coach and that style of play, reorient the entire academy on the 21s, on the 20s, on the 23 team to play in that same system so that you still have that continuation of players understanding that same system and coming into the first team. Because that was what Spain did, and that's why they're successful now. That's what Germany did, and that's what they're successful now. So, Ayo, love to hear from you.
I will counter. First, I don't think the FA has that much power.
Mm-hmm.
The feeding system is for the clubs. So, like in Arsenal, we play how Arteta plays, and everybody that's coming up is being built to play in those positions. And then Man City would do that. Man United would do that. Chelsea would do that if they're functioning correctly. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's possible to have a set formation, and also the meta changes. The meta changes so fast that by the time what's it called your kids have grown up in a system, that system could
Minor.
be outdated. Like
Mm-hmm.
whoever knew that we needed inverted wingbacks till Pep Guardiola started doing it, and now everybody's doing it. And then as
Mm-hmm.
everyone was trying to find wingbacks, Brian Leverkusen showed that we could have inverted wingbacks. Brian Leverkusen showed that we should have actual proper wingbacks, and that'd be
Mm-hmm.
successful. And now we got to go find wingbacks, and so it's like it's changing so rapidly. Uh, where I think that he has really failed is that I don't think he's good.
It's a problem
I,
changing
I,
the
I just
coaching staff.
I just don't think, because I was watching Germany today, and you were talking about the substitutions, but I think it's much deeper than the substitutions. And this is I'm looking back to when Spain won the World Cup. What they did really well when Argentina won the World Cup, what they did really well is that they identify like three players, right? Or they identify even two. Sometimes, if you're brilliant enough, like Messi, they what's it called? They identify one, and they think, how can we have this core chemistry that's going to power our team, and then everybody else has to be disciplined around that? What is the core chemistry? And so when Spain won, they brought the Barcelona model. It's Iniesta, what's it called? Xavi and Busquets, and they arranged. Even the Real Madrid players, they played kind of like the not perfect Barcelona, but that was the basis. Germany they changed your basis like every 60 minutes. Like they play a certain model, and then they bring people, and that model changes based on the strengths of Sane and what's it called, Fulkrug. Now we're going to start crossing. Like they changed your model like in game, and which is probably taking a step above. And I see England's team, and I don't see the core philosophy that is overwhelming. Like you look at Foden. Foden plays as a in the half spaces as an 8, right? Bellingham has been most successful as a 10. Right? Saka is keeping with. Like, so you have all these things where it's like, but we haven't identified them. This is the key chemistry that's going to help us. The last time we did well, you brought up Rashford's name, but Kane and Rashford really had a really good understanding, and Sterling sometimes, about the runners and Kane dropping in to put that ball in. And we built around that chemistry, which ended up being that we had to sit and counter. I don't know how expansive that is, but it was functional. And now I don't see the predominant chemistry. I actually think that he is just going with a formation and a style of play, and he has put all these talent, what's it called, to go and play. Because whenever Eze came on, I thought it was going to change. But because someone was making the comment how he played exactly how Foden played. But Eze is not built for that. Like when the Gallagher came on, he's good for pressing, but we weren't pressing. We told him to sit back, which exposes his lack of distribution, and then we invited even more pressure because that's how Trent was playing. And so I'm seeing all these things where it's like you're not seeing what's there, and you're not, because you can't be super rigid. You have to be very reactive. You kind of have to see what is working, right? And that phases. And because I was thinking about it today, I was like, even before you mentioned Rashford, it's like I would have brought Rashford in. I would even have brought Maguire.
Although he's injured though.
He's injured, yeah. But like if he was fit, I would have brought him too, because I was a big Maguire hater. But I was like, if you're gonna sit back, then bring on Maguire. Like you have 5 substitutes. You can significantly change how the game is operating with just 3. And he's not doing that. If Kane is going to play the way Kane does, everything has to change. If Foden is going to be there, he has to play, and everything has to change. Because for Foden to succeed, keeping the width is critical. Because he's supposed to, and it's even funny. If Foden is to succeed, you can't have Kane. You can't have Kane, and you must keep width. Because if you look at how Haaland plays, right? And why everyone was slagging Haaland that he's just a goal scorer. But if you look at him with Dortmund, he was actually more involved in the play. But what Man City makes him do is that he must occupy the 2 defenders, and he must push them back to create that gap for Foden to come into, or Alvarez, if Alvarez is playing, to come into. And if you're not doing that, if you're not making those runs to stretch the game, why do you have Foden? And so he's not understanding what makes these players great. If you're playing Bellingham as number 10, it's because you have Modric, you have Kroos, people who are ballers behind that. That has never been Declan Rice's game. And so when it's not working, it's like, oh, like we should like tweak. But you had Madison. Like you had Grealish. You had Rashford. You had solutions. Like they might not be world class, they might not be player of the year, but you really did have solution to build some kind of chemistry. And we reached a point where I don't think it's salvageable, because I looked at the squad and it's all the same kinds of players.
I see Sam smiling,
Mhm.
right, amigos, right? Wait, this way, wait, that way. I see him smiling. Love to hear your thoughts. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, right there.
Boy, oh boy.
Mhm.
Oh man, that
That's
was
what England
bizarre.
does to
I
you.
don't even think I don't think I should even say anything because Aya just hit the nail on the head so many times, right? You mentioned the way Spain played. You mentioned flexibility. Lack of flexibility is obvious in this England team. The only thing that I disagree is being salvageable. I really think it's salvageable. I think it is. This is why I can't top your analysis, Ayo. I would just say that was top notch.
You're
um,
flattering me. I'm
no,
flattered.
no,
Yeah.
for real. No, for real. And maybe you let me kind of go through this. I would wrap up in 3 to 5 minutes. Okay.
Oh,
Oh
go
man,
for
I
it.
don't. Number one,
Solution time. Go
I
for it.
agree. Yes, it seems like they're just running around right now. They are just playing the way they play. There's no team cohesion. It seems like they never practice anything. So definitely don't play Foden on the left. Please, please don't put him in there. Please, I agree with me. They put Foden beside Saka. I can compromise on that. I can take that. This is why I say play 4-3-3. Proper one if you really want to save the game. And you might even look at putting Kane on the bench sometime. And I also disagree with you, Mide, at some point when you say long term. Whatever they want to do, they have to do it against Slovenia's game. So they can get the practice going. They can get a muscle memory going against big team that they're gonna play. No, definitely. If you wanna, I feel like Declan Rice is sitting way too much at the back. Arsenal is using. He is doing a fantastic job pushing forward a little bit. So this is why I said there might be a little bit of formation change and do it against Slovenia and just go attack and kill the game. You know,
Mm.
I've got the back four. I don't have any problem with that. Keep those guys. If you want to experiment, which you should not do, if you want to
In the
experiment with my
middle of a
boy,
tournament. Yeah.
if you want to do that, I can compromise on saying, okay, in the midfield, put Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, and put Trent. Just for experiment's sake. And now,
So
Where would
Trent
you put
and
Trent? That's
Trent
the
yeah,
Trent is
question.
as Trent
no, put him on
and
the
Declan Rice at the base, or
Oh, as a
no,
four
no, no,
three
no.
three. Ah.
4-3-3. Put Trent close to Walker, just to pretty much, put him as in case trouble happens.
So
Trent
are
is
you trying
still
to play
like
on the
yours.
right side of midfield? So it will be
Yeah,
Declan Rice in the middle, Jude Bellingham on the left, Trent as a
left.
right
Trent as an
midfielder in a
8?
4-3-3. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what I'm saying is, just in case you want to go attacking too much and it turn out to be problematic, you have a support for Kyle Walker, and this is all salvaging things, right? But
Mhm.
on that left, put Eze in there. Now, I don't care what you want to do in the front, in the middle. Don't take Saka off the right. Keep him on the right. Then you can now say, okay, Ken, I really need you to start running for those good passes because Trent is going to put those ball in front of you. Jude Bellingham is going to give you those low passes. So Kane has to step up. And if Kane cannot do that job after 45 minutes, please bring Walker in there. Walkins. I keep saying Walker. Bring
Dawkins, yeah.
Walkins in there. I saw
Okay.
some games that Watkins somehow sees these true passes and just put the ball at the back of the post. So there has to be some changes, and it's okay. You don't have to experiment with Trent. There's a lot of players in the midfield. You've got Gallagher. It's okay. You
Kobe
can
Maino.
mix that. Yes,
Mhm.
Mano, fantastic, even better than Trent in the midfield, right?
What?
Like right now.
Watson. Yeah, Watson's another one.
Yeah, exactly. So you cannot be so dogmatic with, oh, I've got the best player. I just put them in there. They'll go score the goals or something. No, you have to be flexible. At halftime, shut it off, turn the game around, change the system. Just like what Germany did. Appreciate you for mentioning that. I saw the Germany game. I'm like, it seems like every new substitution is just tearing things apart, right? So that's my thoughts. Really, really good point. Good analysis from you guys. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. No, I mean this is the reason why we do this, amigos. find solutions to problems. And we would leave this with you. If you have problems, amigos, whatever it is, we empathize with you. Identify the symptom, identify why those symptoms are happening, which is the problem, and attach solutions, short term and long term, to those problems. And your life will be very different. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what your solutions will be for this team, short term and long term. I am a huge supporter of England. I know Sam and Ayo are, and we would love it to come home one day. You know, we would love to sing that. We'd love to sing the song "It's Coming Home" one day. But these are things that need to happen before we can even dream of its coming home. It's not just about saying it; it's about actually performing and getting the results on the field. So, final thoughts to wrap up. Ayo, we'll start with you. What do you think? Can they still do it?
I I don't think Southgate has the flexibility. I don't think he has the flexibility to change approach, or at the very least, trust the dynamics or the
Mhm.
chemistry, and and so I don't think anything. Because like for me, is if he brings in Gordon, he's gonna ask Gordon to play the way Foden was playing, which neutralizes what makes Gordon great, as you say. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't matter who's coming in. Is I don't. It's he's not. I don't think he's up there. So I don't know.
It-
But
it's a
but
X factor.
they're great players. I would say it broke my heart after the Denmark game to see other players just collapse in exhaustion.
Yeah,
Is
man.
that the idea that they don't care? I know that's not true. I know
Mhm.
they care deeply and they want
I
to
agree.
represent their country and they want to win. Just how much they ran themselves to exhaustion. Like when it just like the game ended and Declan Rice just collapsed, like he couldn't move. And if they're there and they're willing to work that hard and you're willing to and they have that kind of talent, like generational talent, as we've all said, they need a better structure behind them
Mhm.
in terms of understanding or tag, like because it doesn't even have to be a world class coach. Like look at Ragnick. Like it just needs to be tested. Like did you guys even watch a Copa America? Look at Canada, even though they lost
Mhm.
to Argentina, but with
Jesse
Jesse March,
March, they
like
That was
played
good. Yeah.
well.
it doesn't have to be a crazy like name. It just has to be someone who coaches for a living. Like Graham Potter hasn't found what's it called, a job. Like you have all these people who are just good coaches, and just
Mm.
let them actually let actual coaches.
Oh, I agree.
I don't
I
know if I'm
agree.
being a hater, but yeah, but we'll see.
I agree.
Still support them to the very end, though. Yeah,
Right, Sam.
yeah.
What about you?
Final thought. I think do a lot more substitution. Like how you said, these guys are tired. They want to put on the shirt. They want to win things. But definitely do whatever you want to do against Slovenia's game. And last thought, really, if they get to quarterfinal or semifinal, I I would make sure you go see one of their games. Maybe in 2020 in the World Cup, we'll go together.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that would be amazing.
that'll be
Let's see if the
balling.
No,
amigos
that's a
can go all
great
three.
idea.
Yeah,
Oh
because I
no,
have
that
hope.
would
I have hope.
right.
I
I'm
think they're
sure.
going to defeat some big names.
You think so?
One big
Right,
name. Yeah.
I hope so.
right.
I mean,
I hope so too. I hope so too. No, that would be amazing for amigos. If you love to see us go watch a game in the World Cup in 2026, please let us know in the comment section. What games would you like us to go watch as well? We would try to make it happen. Again, thinking ahead. I love that mentality, Sam. That was an excellent way to wrap up the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We love you all. We love your comments. We read them. We appreciate your likes. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let us know. We are here for England. We will keep supporting them. But these are things that they can do to really recover as a team and as a nation. Thank you all so much. Amigos, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Stay positive as always. Bye, guys.